Today's conversation is sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and you want to know about how we're helping other accredited investors keep more of their income, go to firstgencp.com/going long.
I cannot get enough of serving people because, like I said, the more lives that I touch, the more people that I serve, the better my life gets and the better everybody else's life gets.
You're listening to the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels, the #1 podcast for long-distance real asset investing.
Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. And yes, I am your host, Billy Keels, and I'm really looking forward to welcoming you back to today's conversation because it is another awesome conversation. So listen, we continue to move up the charts together. I really want to thank you for that. So many of you continue to download, you continue to share, and also you continue to leave your honest written reviews as well as ratings. And if you haven't done that yet, take just a couple seconds if you need some help, especially on the Apple Podcast platform. We've got a little video here. Leave it. Let us know what you like, what you'd like to see change. I know you've seen some changes that you're enjoying already. So make sure you take a second to do that, and we'll continue to move up the charts together. And also, we have a new home for every single podcast, all the transcripts, the videos, the audio version. Just go to firstgencp.com/podcast and you can check out every single episode we've ever done, over 220 some episodes at this point in time. I know you're going to love it. This is feedback we're taking from you and also making sure that we're giving you the best possible podcast out there. So listen, if you want to understand about how to master passive income, how you can become successfully unemployed, today's guest is really going to give you some insights. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have great insights with today's guest, who is Dustin Heiner, and we're going to get to that just after this. Are you a busy, high-paid professional, someone that in the previous 2 years has earned $200,000 and is expected to earn $200,000 this year? Or maybe if you filed jointly, previously you've earned $300,000 the previous 2 years and you're also expected to do that this year. Or maybe if not, either individually or jointly, you have $1 million in net worth, not including your primary residence. If you meet any of these criteria, then you're someone that the IRS considers to be an accredited investor. That probably means you're someone like an enterprise software sales executive. You may be an executive in a major corporation. You may be a doctor. You may be a lawyer, maybe a high-paid consultant. You may even work for a major sports franchise. The thing I know you have in common is that you continue to do the hard work. Like you're doing 100% of the work and you're only bringing home 50% of the reward because you continue to get crushed by your income taxes. If you are tired of this situation and you're looking for a new solution, then go to firstgencp.com/going long. When you get there, that's going to help you to start the journey so that you can begin to take back control of your taxes, take control of your time. And then also that means you're going to be able to spend more of the time that you want with the people that you love the most. And that is the way that you're going to get the personal freedom that you're looking for. So if you're looking to take back control, go ahead and go to firstgencp.com/going long and see how we can help you today. So, if you want to learn how to be successfully unemployed so that you can, kick off your long distance investing success into really even higher gear, then guess what? Today's a conversation that you're going to want to listen to until the very last word. I promise. You know why? Because listen to this. Today's guest not only did his undergrad studies at Cal State University, Fresno, he also is on a mission to help you get more out of life and stop struggling with your finances. He wants to help you to master passive income, and ultimately he wants you to become, get this, successfully unemployed. He's a 4-time author with his most recent book, which is How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties. And he's also the host of 2 amazingly popular podcasts. The very first one is Master Passive Income, and the second is Successfully Unemployed. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation, Mr. Dustin Heiner. Dustin, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Billy, thank you so much for having me on the show. It was so awesome having you on the show. I was like, man, that's a great meeting like-minded people that we just want to help. And it's so enjoyable seeing your enthusiasm, hopefully coupled with my enthusiasm. Everybody's going to get pumped that we can all change our lives together. I mean, you and I, we're just like normal people, next door neighbors that have done this. We're going to help other people do it too.
Yep, exactly. And you know what the best part about this is, aside from the enthusiasm, the expertise that you have and the perspective that you have on life context, I know it's going to add so much value to the Go Long family. I just want to jump into the conversation, but let's get right into it. So listen, you're going to get 5 questions. You're going to get 2 in the beginning. You're going to get 3 in the end. In the middle, you're actually going to get more than 5 questions because you're going to get a lot of questions in the middle. I just don't know what those questions are yet. So the very first question though is, Help us understand, Dustin, where is it that you reside in the United States?
Phoenix, Arizona. I didn't start that way. I started in California, Fresno, California. About 5 years ago, moved from California into Phoenix. My in-laws live here. We want to be closer to my wife's parents. And so we're in Phoenix, Arizona. I actually love Phoenix. It's beautiful here.
Yeah, I just flew through there not too long ago, and I didn't have that much time to stick around. But and I do love Phoenix. It's a very, very nice place, and my wife also likes it too. So there's kudos. Here's the thing. Question number 2. Help us understand, Dustin, what is the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
Oh, yeah, 24 hours. So I go to church, and we're really blessed at my church that we've had we started like in 2020 when I first started going there, 150, now probably about 250 people there. And then in the last 2 years, it's grown. Now we're like 1,000 people. Wow. Fast forward now, we had to buy a new church location, like the campus. And praise the Lord, we raised like $3 million in 8 months. I mean, it was amazing. And so we're buying this property, no debt. So yesterday, which was obviously 24 hours, moving boxes into trucks, moving it all the way to the new campus. And then at night, at 6:30 at night, we had a prayer meeting because it's the first time being in the building, being in the new campus. We had a prayer meeting. I want to say we had almost 100 people there for the prayer meeting, it's an hour-long prayer meeting. Most people don't nobody goes to prayer meetings. So it was a blessing to get 100 people. And I lead that too. And so that was a huge blessing to be a part of that.
Wow, fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that with us. And it sounds like lots of momentum that continues to build, and no doubt because you're behind that. And I appreciate you sharing that positivity. And you know what, Dustin, I kind of have to make this, well, I'm going to tell you something that I don't really share a lot of secrets all the time right away, but we know one another already. So I tend to keep the bar pretty high, like a very high standard. And sometimes, Dustin, it makes me do things that are a little bit unreasonable. For instance, I tried to tell your entire backstory in like 1.5 seconds. That's not possible, right? Because you've done way too much. You've impacted way too many lives. And but I just try. I always try. I'm always striving to be a better person and do things that I didn't think I could do. And wasn't able to tell your whole backstory. So what I'd love for you to do is please share your backstory with me and the Going Long family. You can do it and take much longer than 1.5 seconds. You can tell your own story in your own time. And then also, if you could talk to us about maybe some of the major decisions that you've made along the way, just to really also help us understand what is your journey been like up until now. And then we'll see where you and I take the conversation from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll fast forward to the story to the end, but then I'll go back to the beginning. So when I was 37 years old, I was blessed to be able to quit my job. And the reason why is because I own real estate. I own rental properties that make me $250 or more in passive income from every single property. Eventually I had 30 plus properties. I was like, my goodness, why am I working here? So, but I'll go back to the beginning, I got to tell you the story because this story is really what catapulted me or like shoved me into really becoming a real estate investor. So I was going along just like we grow up and we're taught that this is the path that we all are supposed to take. We go to school, we get good grades. And then we go to college, get good grades all over again, getting thousands and thousands of dollars into debt. And then you get a piece of paper, it's called a degree, and you walk around to other companies and you say, hey, sir, can I have a career? And you basically try to get a career. And then you work 40 plus years of your life until you're 65 years old and hopefully retire on what you managed to save that your entire life. And I was doing that. I was doing that same thing. But at the same time, I've always been entrepreneurial, business minded. And so I started a few things. So I had a newspaper out. Most people don't know what newspapers are anymore, but I'd ride around on a bike. Exactly. Oh, did yes. Yes.
I did that too.
A bicycle with bags with newspapers, throw them at 5 a.m., bang them on garage doors, waking people up. And then I had a graphic website design company. And I had a skateboard manufacturing business. I even started a pizzeria and a convenience store from the ground up.
Wow.
These were all good businesses, but I was still following what they've all told me. I thought this was just gonna be extra income, but the career was what I needed to do. So my wife and I bought one rental property and I knew I needed to buy more because it was amazing. I was making money without working. I was in California, bought in Ohio, and I had a business set up where I basically had a property manager. And all that to say, I was making money without working. I knew I needed to become an investor, but life got in the way. So if you could watch this in the video, my wife and I started having kid after kid. We have 4 kids now, so you can see the kids in the background. And we started having child after child. And I'm working a regular 9 to 5. I work for the technology in one county department in California. I was working technology, just doing IT work. And my wife and I started having kid after kid. We bought one rental property at the time, but life got in the way. Eventually, we had our fourth child. My wife had our fourth child, and I went on paternity leave from my job. And that's where the dad stays home with the mom, changes poopy diapers and bonds with the baby and all that good stuff. And so after about 2 weeks, I go back to work. And that week, I get back to work on a Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. I get a call from my boss's secretary, like the top dog. I get a call from her, and she says, "Dustin, would you please come to the office?" And I said, "Sure." And I hung up the phone. And I paused for a second. I thought, oh my goodness, they never call me to the office. And I've seen plenty of movies. This is Friday at 4:30 or 3:30 in the afternoon. This isn't good. And then as I sat there, I paused and I thought, oh my goodness, about 2 months prior, there was some rumors or some rumblings going on in the office that there could potentially be layoffs because they were running low on funds. And I immediately shook that off. I said, no way, that can't happen to me. I have like 12 or 13 years seniority here. My bosses give me a raise all the time because they know I believe I do a great job. So I shook it off. I get up out of my chair and I walk down the hallway to my boss's office. Now, Billy, this hallway isn't very long. In fact, it's kind of short, but every single step that I take, the hallway gets longer and longer and longer. And it feels like my feet become lead bricks. And the weight of everything is starting to crush down on me because I could potentially lose my job. Well, I get down the hallway and I turn and I see my boss's door. His door's closed. And I look at his secretary, super sweet, nice old lady. She's looking at me, kind of, grinning, sheepishly grinning at me, kind of consoling me with her eyes because she knows everything about what's going on. I know nothing about what's going on. She says, "Dustin, would you please have a seat?" So I go and I sit down and I sit there and I am realizing that as I sit there, all this life that I've been, going to school, getting grades and getting a career, if that's taken away from me right now, does that make my life did I waste my life? And then I started thinking, oh my goodness, if I can't provide for my family, what does that make me as a father? Does that make me a failure as a father? Does that make me a failure as a husband, as a man trying to provide for his family? Well, as I'm sitting there, my hands get all clammy, my forehead gets all sweaty because the weight of everything is just crushing down on me. Then the door to my boss's office opens up. And out walks a lady, a coworker of mine, with a piece of paper in her hands. She's noticeably distraught, noticeably upset. She's not necessarily crying, but you can tell her world has absolutely been rocked. And she passes by me, and my boss says, "Dustin, would you please come into the office?" So I get up and I go into his office and I get laid off, Billy. And this is the government. Remember, this is California. This is the government. Nobody gets fired or laid off from the government, but I did. So if it happened to me, it can happen to anybody. Well, I take that layoff notice and I walk back down to my desk and I sit down at my desk and I realize two things sitting right there, then and there, right after getting let off. And this is the reason why I tell the story. The first thing I realized was that I need to get another job. I need to be able to provide for my family. And so I was really, really blessed, praise the Lord, to be able to find another job in the same county, whole different department, great department and everything. Started working there. It was great. Check, got that done. But the second thing that I realized, and this is the reason why I tell the story, as I was sitting in that chair, I realized I need to make sure that this never, ever happens to me again. I need to make sure nobody has the ability to take away my ability to feed my family. So right then and there, I realized that whenever anybody would ask me the question, "Dustin, what do you do?" They're basically asking me, what value do I put on myself? I would answer with my job. I would say, "Oh, I work for IT at the local county. This is what I do." I'm projecting my value as being my job. No. My value doesn't come from my job. My value comes from myself, from my God, and from my family. So right then and there, sitting in that chair, Billy, I realized that no longer will I ever tell anybody my value is in my job. I now say it. I realized because I knew I needed to be an investor, but life got in the way. And so I said, from this point forward, I will tell every single person when they ask me that question, I will say, I am an investor. It may so happen that 100% of my money comes from my job. That's now my part-time job. I am a full-time investor. Fast forward the story, started buying property after property, each one making me $250 or more in passive income, 4 units down to 3, 2, and 1. And eventually at 30 plus properties, I realized, my goodness, even though I'm making $75,000 a year at this job, it's a JOB. I'm living just over broke as an acronym. And I realized I'm losing money working here because everybody needs to realize this. You are so much more valuable than anybody could ever pay you. And here's how you'll know that. Your boss is paying you just enough to keep you working without quitting, but not so much that's taking money out of their pocket. So once I realized that, I realized my true value. I went to my new boss, great boss and all. After I had enough properties, I said, hey, boss, I'm laying you off. Like, here's your layoff notice. He did it jokingly. And I said, here's your 2 weeks notice. And he said, Dustin, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I don't have to do anything. I own real estate. It literally works for me without working. I had created an automatic business that literally doesn't take any of my time, and I make money. So I'll round out the story by sharing. If you remember that story where I walked down the hallway, short hallway that got longer and longer and longer. Well, I walked away from my job for the very, very last time. I was working in downtown. It was a 1.5 mile walk because I didn't want to pay for parking because I'm really frugal. But I walked that walk 1,000 times. This was the best walk of my life because I knew I would never, ever need a job again. And I felt like I was walking on clouds because I was now getting paid for the value that I bring as opposed to what somebody else says my time is worth. So I'll pause the story and let you ask because I know you probably got plenty of questions.
No, I mean, what I'd like about what you're telling the story, aside from, and this is something I also learned in the corporate world, is that you don't try not to place your worth based on the amount of money that you are being paid and the name of the title associated with your role. So the fact that you were able to understand that, you began to project the person that you were becoming, I think is a valuable lesson for everybody that is watching us and listening to us. And yes, you should check out the video version, everybody, because he does have his beautiful family right over his right shoulder, left side of the screen. So, there was a couple also lessons there, because I think one of the things that happens is when you are in a secure role, I mean, you're working for the state, and it can't be any safer than that, right? And in spite of that, you had that particular role that was made redundant. You found another role, but I guess my question for you was, even though you thought that could have been a very, very remote possibility, when it finally happened, did it make you emotionally feel as difficult as your mind had made you believe it was going to be, or was it less when it actually happened? If you can recall that.
Yeah, I believe that when it happened, it was devastating, but I knew that there was a plan to get out of it. Meaning there's a way to do it. I just needed to figure it out. And this is kind of funny. So with my 4 kids, we're Heiners. The last name's Heiner. And if they're like, oh, I can't do this. I say, hey, you're a Heiner. You figure things out. Somebody's done it before, which means you can figure it out just by throwing up your hand saying, I can't do it. Like, no, we don't do that as a family. Obviously, I'm trying to instill in them like, hey, this is what we do. We make it through. And so once I was laid off, and once that I realized, like, my goodness, like, I now realized it was more risky, because I thought, oh, it's risky to invest in real estate, which everybody says that. In fact, I have lots of students who, when I coach, they think, man, it's risky to invest in real estate. The reason why I tell a story, it's so much more risky working for somebody else who can literally stop you from being able to pay for your family's food and roof over their heads. And so once I realized that, it wasn't that much of a worry anymore. Like, it was like holding on to something that I couldn't hold on to. And then once I realized, now I had an open hand, like my hands were open. I couldn't hold on to it anymore. So I'm like, well, now it's time to really get out of this place. And so it was liberating, actually. In fact, whenever I hear a friend of mine, whenever any friends say, either I lost my job or I need to quit because X, Y, and Z, and I want to go on my own, I always tell them that is the best thing you could ever do. And in fact, you'll look back, even if you're scared right now, this is the best thing for you, because you'll realize you'll figure it out. You'll make sure that you'll have a way to be able to provide for your family. There's one friend of mine, he was working a job. He knew he needed to quit, and he had a couple ideas of how he can make money, and he went ahead and quit. I didn't tell him to do it, but that's what he did. He called me up, and everybody else was saying the opposite. Oh man, hey, I'll be praying for you. Oh man, hopefully you get a new job soon, blah, blah, blah. But he called me, I said, because I knew what other people would tell him. And he said, hey, Dustin, I just quit my job. I said to him, I am so excited for you. This is the best thing for you, because I know what you're capable of, because I do. I know what you're capable of, and I know what you can do for your family. Now it's literally been 2.5 years since he quit, and now he has his own businesses. Now he has everything going on, because now having that perspective that it can be taken away from you, that gets you motivated to make sure that you don't have that somebody has that over your head, that nobody can do that again.
And so the fact that you were aware of that and you are helping others to be aware of that, and even uplifting when people are in that moment of consternation, that moment of difficulty. It's important that we hear stories like yours, Dustin, because yes, of course, in the moment it could be difficult, but the important part is, what are you going to do after that? Because it's about understanding that what skill set are you going to begin to build? What network are you going to surround yourself? What accountability partners are you going to have that are going to help to bring out the best in you? These are the things that you want to think about before something like that were to happen. Trusting that you're enjoying today's conversation. And you know what? If you're tired of getting crushed by taxes and you're looking for greater freedom to be able to choose what you want to do when you want to do it, make sure that you go to firstgencp.com/going-long and see how we can help you today. Let's get back to the conversation. So there's a couple of questions that I really, knowing that you have a very particular expertise, that you have decided to really niche down in a particular area, maybe you can talk to us about that, because the concept of real assets are so vast. And sometimes when the ocean is so large, you don't do anything. But you have really figured out what is your bread and butter, how are you going to build a repeatable process, and also how you can help to educate and uplift others in the same space. Maybe you could take us kind of through that, where your focus area is, why you selected that, and how you're also helping others today.
Totally. So when I first realized, well, the first one was passive income. Once I realized I could work once and get paid over and over again, like, sign me up for that. That's what I was like, okay, the other path of working a job, a career where you get paid one time or for the one-time work, that was bad. Now I realize passive income. So that was first. That was the first mindset shift that I had to make. From that point forward, I realized I really like real estate, or at least I wanted to do real estate. But there's so many things out there. There's so many different ways, from storage units to multifamily to rental properties, Airbnb, all this sort of stuff. And so I realized, as I was analyzing everything, was that I wanted a couple things. Number one, passive income. I needed to make money every single month. I didn't want it in my IRA. I didn't want my 401k. I didn't want it at 65. I wanted it now. So that's number one. So I needed passive income to pay for food for my family. The second thing that I wanted was generational wealth to pass down to my kids. Now, I personally invest in other people's syndications. I'm not a syndicator. I don't want to do that. But now I'm blessed to have enough money that I can literally invest in syndications, which is fantastic because I get part of the multifamily as well. On top of that, the reason why I went with residential, when I say residential, 4 units and below, because obviously everybody knows, all your people know this, once you get 5 and above, it's a whole different everything. So with 4 units and below, still get conventional loans. You still, 30-year fixed loans. You get more people in there, 4 units, but it's the same thing as single family. Here's the second thing. Number one, passive income. Second thing that I realized, generational wealth. Usually with a multifamily, you exit the property in 3 to 5 years or whatever the time frame is, which could be longer, some could be shorter. But with my residential properties, I will literally give these properties to my kids. And on top of that, I will teach them how they can do it themselves. They can get a job at Costco, make money, and buy one house. Keep working that job at Costco, make money, buy a second house, and keep doing it over and over again. So let me quickly give you, and I'll give you the overall idea of what we do, or how I figured out how to do this right. Because there's plenty of wrong ways to do it. In fact, let me quickly give you the wrong way. I'll quickly, and everybody forget it as soon as you hear this. But the wrong way is, well, this is what all the gurus, this is what I first learned from the gurus. They say you buy one property, that's your business. That property is your business. That's wrong. We'll get that in a second. But let's say find a property anywhere in the country and then buy that property. Well, I'll fast forward where it says, they say, run the numbers. Basically make sure you're making $50 a month in passive income. And but you'll get appreciation. It'll go up in value, which, pause that. We don't, at Master Passive Income, we don't invest for appreciation. I'm going to give these properties to my kids. So appreciation, it's like, that's great and all, but passive income is what I want. I tap in the equity by doing a home equity line of credit and stuff like that. But anyways, we don't invest for appreciation. We invest for passive income. That's the first one. But what they do is say, run the numbers, make sure you're making a little bit of money in passive income, get appreciation, then spend thousands of dollars to buy the property, then spend thousands of dollars to fix up the property, then find a tenant, and then find a property manager to manage a property. Well, in my opinion, remember, that's wrong. This is the wrong way. Forget this. But that's just about backwards. What we do at Master Passive Income is we build the business first. And this could be the same thing with syndications, multifamily, storage units. Anything in life where you're making money, look at it from a perspective of building the business first. Now, let me give you an example of what that looks like outside of real estate, and I'll bring it right back in. So if you're going to start a convenience store, a convenience store, soda machines, candy bars, all that sort of stuff. Well, if you're going to start one of those, you're not going to sign a lease on a location, open the doors, and set a box of candy bars in there on the ground. No, you wouldn't do that. In fact, you go out of business in like 2 seconds. What you would do, though, is you would build the business first. You get the gondolas, the shelving units that all the candy bars go on, countertops, cold storage, bank accounts, cash registers, insurance, employees, everything in the business before you buy any inventory. Then once you have the business built, you buy the inventory and put it in the business. Same thing with real estate investing, any type, multifamily, single family, all that sort of stuff. You build the entire business first. And then, remember the guru said that property is your business? No. Our businesses own inventory, just like any business out there. A property is a piece of inventory that we buy, that we put into the business. And so I look at all my properties, and you should, for any business that you have, you should look at your properties as inventory. Your business owns inventory. From there, if you've already built the business first, find the right area of the country to invest. We invest all over the country, out of state. We love investing out of state. So anywhere in the country to invest, but you find an area that has right inventory. From inventory, we find the right property managers. We don't go right to finding properties. That's jumping the gun. That's what the gurus tell you. No. We find property managers, because you don't start a convenience store and grab somebody off the street and say, hey, you got a pulse? Come in here, manage my money, and manage my inventory, manage my everything. Yeah, it's going to bad. So why would we do that with properties? So what we do is we inventory first in an area, then we find property managers. Then we find mortgage brokers to make sure, or funding, financing, private money, syndicating, all that sort of stuff. And then we find contractors, roofers, plumbers, inspectors, insurance agents, everything else. And then we find realtors and wholesalers, people how we find the properties. So that's what we do. We build the entire business first. That's how I was able to scale my business so fast. In 6 years, I had 30 plus properties. And so what I did was I built the business, and then each property I bought, I put it into the business as inventory because I already had the business running. And here's quickly how I'll quickly go over. The last thing I'll say, but I'll let you talk, ask questions, because you probably got a bunch of them. But what I realized was I needed to quit my job. I needed to make sure that I can take care of my family with my investing. So I bought one property that made me $250 a month. So if you bought one at $250 a month in passive income, that's $3,000 a year. That's fantastic. But I thought, you know what? And I asked my wife, how much money do we need? Or what are our expenses every single month? She said, I remember it was like $4,200. I for some reason, that's like ingrained in my brain. $4,200 that we had to make. And I realized, okay, one property at $250 a month, $3,000 a year, check. If I had 10 properties at $250 a month, that's $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year in passive income. 20 properties is $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year in passive income without working. And I just realized if I sacrifice and I buy property after property, number one, I'm creating generational wealth. I'm making money for myself. And then I'm making money to invest in like multifamily, syndications, land. I could do all that sort of stuff. So because I realized now I had a business that owns inventory, it literally runs itself. And last thing I'll say is a lot of people have heard of the book, The 4-Hour Work Week. It's a good book and all, but I think working 4 hours a week is for suckers. I don't want to work 4 hours a week. I don't even want to work 4 hours a month. Basically, I get my property management statements. I look at it. It takes me about 30 minutes a month and make sure everything looks good and set them aside and go back to play with my kids. So that's what I do. Build a business and make sure the business has inventory.
Well, and so as you build a business, you make sure it has inventory, and you look at some of the basic underlying foundational elements, which is really creating a passive income, being able to create generational wealth, and then you talk about the specific process that you had, which is really not looking to buy the property first, but really continue to build the inventory, then make sure that you're building the team. And that includes, your property managers, then you're looking for your funding, and then you're moving into the specific property yourself. So it's clear that there is a process that you follow. It's providing you with results, and the results, the ultimate outcome is that you're able to spend more time with your kids, because that's the stuff that really matters at the end of the day, right?
100%.
So one of the things that I did want to ask you, so you talked to us about that, but how are you also then helping to educate other people? I know that you have big passion around the education portion, and you have a clear process. So maybe you can talk to us about what is it that you are doing to help maybe to bring this knowledge to a wider audience as well.
Oh yeah. And so here, what was really fun was as I was quitting my job, or just about to quit my 6 months, I was telling everybody, I was saying, because they work for the government, they don't really just fire you for saying you want to quit, because everybody wants to quit. But anyways, I was telling everybody, hey, I'm going to be quitting my job soon. And they said, well, how are you going to do that? It's the first question. And I said, well, I invest in real estate. I make money without working. And the second question comes always, like the second question is always, can you show me? And I was like, friends, family members, coworkers, people from church, all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I said, sure. And I started telling people one-on-one, just like your next door neighbor, literally showing you how to do it. So I started teaching people one-on-one, and I realized two things. Number one, I enjoyed doing it. It was fun. I love seeing people's life change. In fact, one of my friends, within like 2.5 years, maybe 3 years at most, he was able to quit his job from his investing. I mean, it was just amazing. And then that was the first thing I realized. I enjoyed it. The second thing that I realized was coaching people one-on-one it took so much time. It was hard. Like it was almost a full-time job because I had so many people doing it. Mm-hmm. And my wife started saying, hey, you better start getting paid for this because it's like another job that you're not getting paid for. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So anyways, fast forward now. What I decided to do was like, you know what? Maybe there's other ways that I can help people. So I wrote a book. Instead of my one-on-one time, I wrote a book, How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties, and I just give that out. I said, here you go. And then when you need more help, because these will answer your beginner basic questions, it's great questions, but they're beginner. These will answer them, and you'll get better questions that apply to you, your situation, then we can talk, and then I can help you out. So fast forward from that book, then I created the podcast, Master Passive Income Podcast, which is literally just me. I barely do interviews, it's me coaching, teaching people how to do this stuff. Me YouTube channel where I just literally give away all the XYZ, how to do all this stuff. But then if they want my time, that's when I charge them. Like I have courses and coaching, group coaching, all that sort of stuff. But now it's literally getting that information out there to everybody as best as I can. And on top of that, I just created a conference called the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference. And if you want to make money, don't start conferences. The goal is to help people. And the tagline is gathering to make investing better. And it's not just single family homes, it's multifamily, land investing, storage units, Airbnb, like literally every type of not flipping or wholesaling. That's not necessarily investing in my opinion. So we're sticking with investing. But what we do is we had our first one in March. It was in Phoenix. Next year, 2023, it's going to be in Phoenix again in May. And then in 2024, it'll be in Orlando. So it'll be on the East Coast. But the reason why I built this conference was because I wanted to help more people. So my first goal was in 10 years, I want to quit my job. 37 years old, quit my job, check, got that. My second goal came about a year later because I didn't have a goal. I was kind of floundering. It was to make $1 million a year from all my businesses. But I kid you not, Billy, you're probably the exact same way. I was so bored. I hated that goal. It did not get me out of bed at all. I mean, it'd be nice to have $1 million, but it was just, I'm not driven by money. Then I realized that's a bad goal. Then I changed it to, I want to help 1 million people to get financial independence by investing in real estate. Fast forward now, that's why I have my podcast, coaching, YouTube channel, and the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, where it's literally gathering us together. Most real estate conferences, the last thing I'll say is, most real estate conferences, they're all sales pitches. They literally give you hype and then now run to the back and go give us thousands of dollars on your credit cards. It's normally $1 million, but we'll discount it to like 20 grand or whatever it might be. This conference is not that. It's literally guys like you and me, Billy, that have done it. We know what we're doing and we just want to serve. We want to help people because I know, and the big reason why I do this, I know my life gets better when the more people that I serve, the better my life gets and the better other people's life gets. And so with the conference, it's literally no sales pitch conference. We literally just come together, help each other out. Now there are vendors there, like sponsors that are going to be there that provide services that you go to, but not from us. Like you and me, Billy, like people like us, we're just here to help. We're here to coach and teach people. So all the above, it's just so much fun because one more thing I got to say, I so many good things about being able, where I'm at, where I have 40 plus hours of my life back in my life, successfully unemployed. I build businesses, but here's the biggest thing. We want to leave 4 legacies in our life. The first one, we have money legacy. So the money legacy affords us to be able to do whatever we want. The second one from that money goes into a time legacy. Money leads into time. Time to do whatever we want, go wherever we want, whatever we want to be. So money leads into time. Time leads into relationships. Now we have time to spend on our relationships with our family, church members, society around us, whatever. From there, time leads into service. You have enough money, money leads into your time back. Time leads into relationships back. Then relationships leads now into service. Once you get to that service legacy, it is absolutely life-changing. I cannot get enough of serving people because, like I said, the more lives that I touch, the more people that I serve, the better my life gets and the better everybody else's life gets.
Absolutely fantastic. And so it's clear for us that you're helping on a number of different levels, everything from being able to put your thoughts into books. And you talked about 4, and your most recent book, How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties. And from there, also the podcast and being able to share your knowledge there, and even take it to the next level in terms of being able to put on a conference and bring people together and be able to help in a very specific face-to-face type of type of way. So maybe it's hybrid nowadays. I don't know, but I know it's face-to-face because you mentioned.
No, it's just gathering.
Okay, just gathering. So
100%.
Phoenix, and then you said Orlando later. So awesome.
Totally.
Awesome.
And the reason why there's no online component is because you can't duplicate what it's like at a conference talking to other people. I get so many insights, as well as people that want to invest with me, people passing along deals, like everything in the face-to-face conversations.
Yeah. Very, very, very different. Very, very different. And so, this is amazing stuff. And I can't even believe, we got to get into the Going Long Final 3, man. We got to get into the Going Long Final 3. But here's the thing, Dustin. I don't ever ask anybody the Going Long Final 3. And today you're our special guest, unless you tell me that you're ready. So are you ready?
100%.
I knew you would be. I thought you were going to be like 200%, but yeah, it's okay. It's modesty. I get it. So listen, so we started with you over in Phoenix. I like to bring it back to this side of the pond, and would love for you to share with me and the Going Long family, what is your favorite European city that you visited or are still on your bucket list to visit?
Oh, so there are so many. So in 2017, I took my wife and once I quit my job, 6 weeks in Japan, literally drove 2,000 miles around the left-hand side of Japan. It was awesome. And then in 2018, we went to Europe, went to 11 different countries. I would have to say my favorite city is Rome. I don't know why. Yeah, it was just Rome but there's lots of great cities. Don't get me wrong. There's tons of amazing ones.
That's fine.
Rome is great.
Rome is eternal. Rome is eternal. The eternal city. It's fantastic, which is amazing.
Can I ask you, you're a traveler. Where should I go? If there's one city, because we love traveling. Don't get me wrong. We love traveling. Where should I go?
I'll tell you about it. Well, we'll talk about it.
Okay, got it.
I've been to 86 countries, so this is probably more of an elaborate conversation that you and I will have.
Let's do it.
So yeah,
we love traveling, so we'll do it.
Well, we'll definitely do that. And plus, you're traveling with a family of 6, and so there's some things that we need to flesh out. Awesome. So here's the other thing, Dustin. A lot of times, and I'm sure you've seen this, this comes from a lot of the experience that I've had with working with very successful people and having insights to seeing very successful people, a lot of people on the podcast, people from my corporate life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I know you have as well. And so hopefully you will understand this and you agree, because one of the things that separates really successful people apart from everybody else is that very successful people, unlike most, when they put together a plan, they put together the plan, but then they begin to execute the plan. And then the execution of the plan, they tend to get things right the very first time, which will allow them to go much faster I'm just kidding. Don't worry. Dustin is going, oh my gosh, how do we help him out of this one? Oh, it's just a joke. I like to have fun here. And the Going Long family knows. He's like, how do I help him out of this one? Because he just said all that kind of. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. Of course, really successful people, not only do they not get things right the first time, typically, they usually get things wrong 20 to 50 times more than most people.
Absolutely.
And so the thing that happens is, and that was kind of a joke before, but this is a reality. But the one thing that I have noticed with really successful people is that they, unlike most, every single time that there is a relevant mistake or learning opportunity, call it whatever you want, things didn't go as were planned. Every time it's relevant, they stop, they learn from the mistake, and then they put different strategies, tactics, and actions in place to minimize the probability of that exact same thing happening again. So, Dustin, as someone who's very successful, I don't want you to think about the mistakes that you made and all that kind of stuff, but I do want you to think about an event. And most importantly, what is the one lesson that you learned from that event that you know that the Going Long family needs to hear today?
Well, I definitely whenever I hear people ask this question, I hear the answers, they're usually big, broad principles, but I'll give you a big, broad principle that I learned as well as specific. So that if you want, because usually I'm give me something that actually happened. So this is what happened. This is
just the lesson. You don't even have to tell us what happened. Just the lesson.
Well, I got to tell you, because this leads into it.
Okay.
So the lesson is, and I already told you, build the business first. But this is how I did it wrong.
Yeah.
This is how I did it wrong. I followed what those quote unquote gurus told you. And, do that all the wrong way. Hopefully you forgot all that because that was bad information, what they tell you. But I did that, and my property manager started stealing from me within 6 months. It was horrible. And if I would have given up then because, woe is me, my wife saying, you did it wrong. This can't be done. If I would have stopped, I wouldn't be here today. So my property manager started stealing from me. And then I paused and I thought, my goodness, people have done this in the past. Like, I'm not the only one. I'm not trying to recreate the wheel. It's been done in the past. Let me see if I could figure this out or, read books or whatever. But this is what I figured out. I went the wrong way. I realized that I need to build the business instead of feeling my property was my business. Because remember, I'm entrepreneurial. I approached it from a business mindset instead of a quote unquote investor type of mindset. And so with that, what I realized was I needed to build the business. So the big broad principle is two things. Number one, I love the outcomes of failures. I don't love failures. Yeah. I love the outcomes of the failures because I grow. What I teach my kids is we figure things out. That's what we do. We figure it out. And so if it's done before, if somebody else can do it, I can do it. And with that, what I do is I make sure that in that failure, I get that outcome of what I wanted. So fast forward, realize building the business was the right way to go. And then the principle is keep moving forward. If I would have given up and said, woe is me, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And having that mindset, looking for the outcomes and being able to not have fear of failing forward, failing quickly, and then understanding what those outcomes and being able to adapt along the way. Thank you so much for providing that, Dustin. And this brings us to the last question, man. And listen, I will also just reiterate to everyone that you are a 4-time author. Your most recent book that we're going to already include in the show notes, How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties, is going to be in the show notes. Aside from that, what is one book that you would recommend to us?
Oh, well, I'll give you one and then quickly follow up with other. You'll probably say, no, you can only do one, but I got to do two. Number one's the Bible. If there's any one I'm going to recommend, it's going to be the Bible. But the one for business that I would absolutely recommend by far, most likely your audience has either heard it or read it or they know of it. But it's The Richest Man in Babylon. Your audience might be past that, but here's the biggest thing. It's the principles that bring in a fictional story. It's a fantastic story, but the principles. So it's written by George S. Clausen, and it helps everybody to learn financial principles that are lasting financial principles that you can create generational wealth with. So Bible and then Richest Man in Babylon.
All right. Well, fantastic. Bible and Richest Man in Babylon. Appreciate that, Dustin. And I cannot believe how quickly these conversations go by. I'm thinking about the very beginning. You're talking to us about 37. You were able to quit your job. You've done the work. You recognize that, hey, listen, it wasn't about just trading your time for dollars. It was about being able to say, how can I create more passive income, meaning income that is not directly related to you doing the work. You found an asset, which was a hard asset in real estate that you recognized as something that you enjoyed. You looked at all the different possibilities and you recognized to yourself, listen, what I really like are these smaller multifamily and single family residences, 4 and below. That's your sweet spot. You've built not only a great expertise, you've also built a network, you've built an education system, and you continue to not only have the benefits of these hard assets, but also you're helping to educate and impact others to the fact that you've now recognized that you want to be able to impact and affect 1 million lives across the globe. And so aside from having the things that we talked about and the passive income and being able to create generational wealth and helping to set people free and with becoming being able to master their passive income, also becoming successfully unemployed, I know that everybody here is like, Billy, just ask him the question, man. So help us understand, what's the best way to find out more about what you're doing, Dustin, and how the Going Long family can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Actually, I'll maybe give you guys something. So you mind if I give everybody something for free? I give my course literally for free so they can get started.
Go right ahead.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'll literally give you my real estate investing course. It's just a passion of mine to help people. So if you text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777, rental to 33777, I'll literally give you my real estate investing course absolutely for free. Show you how to find an area of the country to invest anywhere in the country. We love investing out of state. How to build the business first. How to make sure you're buying the right properties. How to scale the business so that you can quit your job. You can also go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. All one word, /free course, or text the word rental to 33777. Or also, and I had you on my podcast, the Successfully Unemployed podcast. I even have Master Passive Income podcast where it's literally just me. I rarely do interviews. And it's just me teaching how to do this rental property stuff. My YouTube channel, just look up Dustin Heiner. You'll probably find me anywhere, but yeah, podcasting. And I don't really do much on Instagram other than post my family stuff. So you want to see what I'm doing? It's the Dustin Heiner. I'm not that arrogant. It's the only one I could find, but THE Dustin Heiner. So that's me. But I love just helping so many people. This is amazing. So I created a course that it's a DIY course, do it yourself. People would get in the course, and I was so disappointed that only like 20% of the people would finish it. I was like, I didn't create it just to make money. I created it so you'd finish it. But what I did was I created a membership where I now have group coaching. I tell you that those group coachings are so much fun for me because we have so many other students in there doing it, being successful, and then everybody's feeding off each other, and I'm able to coach everybody every single step away. So I have that membership as well. But yeah, as much as I can, I just love to help and see people change their lives. My Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, if you go to rewbcon.com, Rubcon, it's an acronym, rubcon.com, you'll get, I just want to help everybody else. In fact, I'm giving out so many URLs, but I want to give everybody, all your listeners, because of you, Billy. You mind if I give them all a 10% off coupon code that goes through you?
I think they would be okay with that.
Awesome. Just type in the name Billy. If you are buying your ticket, type in the name Billy, and I'll give you everybody else 10% off the ticket just because you're part of his audience.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Dustin. Really appreciate that. So thank you very much. And listen, we're going to make it really easy for everybody because I know a lot of you are either running on the treadmill or maybe you're driving the car. We're going to put really simple links in the show notes. So all you need to do is just click the link. Don't worry. Don't stop. Whatever you're doing, keep doing what you're doing and just make sure you check out the show notes. So Dustin, listen, I really want to thank you for deciding to invest your time with me and the entire Going Long family. And thank you very, very much, man.
Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate you. It's great getting to know you too.
Yeah, likewise. And Dustin, if you give me like 10 seconds and then we'll be out of here. Just a couple of last minute things to the Going Long family. Listen, everybody, Dustin's giving you so much actionable content that you can take. He's giving you things to think about. He's helping you to also remember about how you can invest passively, thinking about the generational wealth. Make sure that you share today's conversation with friends, with family. Talk about the concepts that we've just talked about. And while you're doing that, I'm going to be preparing the next conversation. And so until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Trust that you enjoyed today's conversation. And once again, today's conversation was sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and want to find out more about how we're helping accredited investors to gain their personal freedom even faster, go to firstgencp.com/going long.